Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome to today's final lesson of the functions unit. In this lesson, I'm going to give you what I think are the keys to success on the functions test. You see what I did right there? Not going to bust a rhyme, but I am going to drop some knowledge one time. All right, hey, so as you are preparing for your test this week, I want you to know first, your study guide is the best resource for you as you prepare for the test. And so the study guide, you should make sure that you understand it, make sure that you can answer all of the questions on there, because that is going to be your best resource for making sure that you are prepared for the test. All right. Next is you want to make sure that you understand everything that's in this video. All right. So let's get into it. What are my keys to success? I am going to kind of frame them up in the term of facts. All right. These are the facts, the frequently asked questions. If you're not familiar with that term, here are a bunch of the frequently asked questions that I have gotten over the course of the last couple weeks, and I'm going to answer them. And I think this isn't everything, but it is a lot of the highlights for this unit. So last chance to try to get prepared. Here are some frequently asked questions and some facts that will help you in preparation for your test. Here they are. What is a function? What is a function? What is Dixie-Roy? What is slope-intercept form? How do I graph a function? Positive, negative, zero slope, or independent, dependent variable? Let's get into it. All right. So the first question is a relation a function? Okay. Now, all relations are functions. Only specific ones are. A relation is a function if the x's do not repeat, and if a relation is not a function if the x's do repeat. Okay, and so you determine a function if you have ordered pairs, if you have a table, if you have the points listed, or even graphed. You look at the x's and you want to make sure that there is no x's that are repeating. If they are repeating, it is not a function. If it's not repeating, it is a function. Okay. In the event that you have, say you have a graph, right? And you got a couple different points. Okay. In order to know if it's a function when you have to graph, you have to do what's called the vertical line test. Okay. And so you imagine a straight line, a vertical line. If it only touches at one point, then it is a function, okay? If, say, this touched at 2 points, then this is not a function, okay? So the vertical line test is what helps you know whether or not a graph is a function. So key. Again, when the x's don't repeat, it is a function. It is not a function if the x's repeat. All right, question number 2. What is Dixie-Roy? Okay, what is Dixie-Roy? Well, Dixie-Roy stands for domain, input, x value, independent variable. Range, Roy stands for range, output, y value, dependent, okay, variable. Okay, and so when you have functions, you have this relationship between two values. You have an input, you have an output, you have an x value, you have a y, you have an independent variable and a dependent variable. And so Dixie-Roy it shows you all of the names for the x value or the x coordinate, okay? So it shows you all of the names that you can use for them. And then the same for the y's, right? Y's are also referred to as range, sometimes referred to as output, sometimes referred to as the y value, sometimes referred to as dependent, okay? So Dixie-Roy helps you know what are the names for the two relations, for the two variables in the relationship, okay? So again, two numbers, functions are two numbers that have sort of a relationship, and domain and range input and output, x value, y value, independent, dependent variable are different ways to describe that relationship. Okay. Next question, what is slope-intercept form? Okay, answer. It is a way of writing a linear equation using slope and the y-intercept. Okay, so slope is rise over run. Okay, and the y-intercept is where the graph crosses the y-axis. Okay, so it is a way of writing an equation and using slope and the y-intercept. Okay, so I have this equation. Okay, in this equation written in slope-intercept form, y equals mx plus b, where the y equals, again, mx plus b, where the y is the slope. Okay, so the number in front of the x is the slope, and in this case, it is -2. Now, whenever a slope has a whole number, you should always remember that there's just a 1 underneath it. So this is -2 over 1. That's my slope. The b is the y-intercept, and that is, in this case, it is 4. Okay, and so the y-intercept, remember, is where the where the graph crosses the y-axis. So if you look at our graph, you have the y-intercept at 4, right? Again, y-intercept is at 4. It crosses the y-axis at 4. And then the slope is -2. So you go down -2 and then over 1. And then that gets me to my point. Then -2 over 1. Again, -2 over 1. And that gets me to another point on my graph. Again, let's look at it. -2. That's -2 over 1. That gets me to another point on my graph. So again, use the slope to see. I can see that the slope is -2 on this graph. All right. So again, slope-intercept form. What is really important that you remember that this is the b, which is the y-intercept, and that is the m, which is the slope. So knowing that the slope is the m, knowing that the y-intercept is the b, when a linear equation is written in y equals mx plus b form, that is super important. Okay, you're gonna see problems on your test that ask you to identify what the slope is and what the y-intercept is, and sometimes you're gonna actually have to know how to graph it. So how do I graph it? Okay, so if I'm given, a function in y equals mx plus b form and slope-intercept form, how do I graph it? How do I find the graph? Well, the answer is I start by graphing the y-intercept, step 1. Step 2, then I find the other points by using the slope. So I did this just a few moments ago in showing you the previous slide, but I want to show you again, this time without the graph present. Okay, so this is my equation in slope-intercept form. Again, you got to remember this, y equals mx plus b, where again, the m is the slope and the b is the y-intercept. Okay, so what is my slope? Well, my slope for this equation is 1/2. What is my y-intercept? It's the b, which is -3. Now, how do I graph it? Okay, well, I'm going to start by graphing the y-intercept. The y-intercept is -3. And the y-intercept is where the graph crosses the y-axis. So I'm going to go to -3, and I'm going to put a dot right there. Okay, where, again, this is the y-axis. It crosses there at -3. And then From there, I'm going to find the other points by using the slope. The slope in this case is 1/2. So I'm going to go up 1 over 2. Again, I mentioned it in the previous slide, but slope, you're doing rise over run. Okay? Rise over run. So I'm going up 1 over 2. Up 1 over 2. Up 1 over 2. And these get me some points for my graph. And then from there, I can just connect these dots. Okay? On the test, you need to be prepared to be able to look at some graphs and be able to pick which is the graph from a list of graphs. Okay? So just as long as you can understand, okay, I identify the y-intercept, and then I use the slope to find other points on my graph. All right. Now, do we have a positive slope, negative slope, or a zero slope, right? Well, if a slope, if it increases from left to right, meaning it is going up, it is going from left to right and it is increasing from left to right, that means it is a positive slope, okay? If a slope is decreasing from left to right, so as you move left to right, it is going down, that is a negative slope. And if a line is, slope is just, it has a horizontal line, is flat, it has a zero slope, okay? So, again, I said these, but I'm gonna draw some pictures now. If it's going from left and then it goes up, increasing, all right? This would be a positive slope. And if it is decreasing from left to right, so it starts high, then it goes down, okay, decreasing from left to right, that is a negative slope. And then if it is just a horizontal line, it is just a flat line, this is a zero slope, okay? Technically, there's one more, but I'm not, again, for this lesson and for this unit, we did not have to know the fourth type of slope. All right, and this is our final FAQ. Is it independent or dependent variable? Okay, well, the answer is that the independent causes the dependent variable. Okay, so I really emphasized in this lesson when we talked about independent variables and dependent variables, one way you can think about it is to think about cause and effect relationships. So the independent variable causes the dependent variable, okay? So the independent variable is the one that doesn't depend on the other. It is the cause. The dependent is the effect. Dependent depends on the independent, okay? So best way to do this is just to look at and think about some of these examples. Just think, okay, which one causes the other, okay? If it causes, then it's the independent causing the dependent. The independent is the cause, independent is the cause, dependent is the effect, okay? Again, that's just one way you can think about it. Okay, so if you're thinking about this scenario where you are studying for your test and the grade that you make on your test, right, which is independent, which is dependent. Well, studying, okay, for a test, the more you study, more likely you're going to have a better score on the test, okay? Usually, how much you study causes your results for the test. So in this case, the independent variable would be how much you study for the test. The dependent variable would be the grade on the test, okay? Independent, studying, dependent, score. Next one, running miles, should be running miles, and burning calories, okay? I think I wrote all of these, okay? Running, okay, how much you're running is going to cause you to burn more calories, okay? So running is the independent variable, Calories is the dependent variable. And then let's look at the other one. What about earning money and selling cookies, right? Earning money and selling cookies, right? If you, which causes does selling cookies earn money, or does earning money sell cookies, right? Again, it's super easy to understand that it is selling cookies that earns more money. So in this case, the selling cookies would be the independent variable. The earning money would be the dependent variable, okay? So with that said, on a couple of your test questions, you are going to need to be able to identify what is the independent and which is the dependent variable. Again, best way for me to describe that for you is to think cause and effect relationship, all right? Now, guys, again, this is not everything, but this is a lot of what you're going to need in preparation for your test. And so I hope that you will go back and look at your notes and notebook. Be sure to finish your study guide and to make sure that you fully understand it. I hope this helps you. And good luck sharing what you have learned in this unit by doing a great job on your unit test. Happy studying.